You guys really seem to enjoy my last video about immersive mods, and a lot of you also voted for a part 2, so here it is. So let's take a look at some mods that add detail into the world, and what better way to start than with immersive fallen trees, a mod adding trees that fell down and have been left there to rot. Some of these trees have also been placed in very convenient locations so that you can use them as bridges, but overall I would say the immersion they add is enough to justify downloading this mod. Seeing mods like this, you really start to think, yeah, why aren't there any fallen trees in the world of Skyrim? I mean, at least in vanilla. So a lot of emphasis is put on the ongoing civil war between the Imperials and the Stormcloaks. And if you play through the main story of Skyrim, for some reason, a lot of NPCs would mention it, but if you really haven't played it in a while, as you probably should, you probably even forgot the Civil War even happened. Thank God for mods such as Civil War battlefields adding new locations indicating that there was a battle there. These past battlefields add a lot to the eerie feel of Skyrim and really shows that the war is an ongoing menace to the peaceful lifestyle that the people of Skyrim want to have. Similarly, we have the Civil War checkpoints, adding military barricades to the main roads of Skyrim. I have to really appreciate this mod for its modularity, letting you choose which checkpoints you want to add, since it could conflict with other mods that you have in the area. For me, for example, Whiterun is now a mess, so I'll make sure not to have the Whiterun checkpoint in my mod list. This adds an extra layer of immersion, making Skyrim feel a little bit more dangerous. While we're on the topic of roads, I want to show off Northern Roads, a mod making the streets and roads in the province more immersive by adding more detail, encouraging you to walk more and rely less on fast traveling, because there's nothing immersive about this. The mod adds interesting landmarks and makes certain bridges so much cooler. Not only that, but simply the textures and the colors of the roads are so realistic and so cool. You can really see the tire marks from travelers with carriages, and this is really immersive. All these details make you go, oh this is cool. Cool enough to leave a like on the video. And since we were talking about checkpoints earlier, why not make Skyrim feel even more barricaded with man those borders, adding even more borders all around, making travel more difficult. Or at least give the impression of it. This is really realistic because in real life they also have borders like this. And visas and shit, which are real life battle pass camps, but that's none of my business. So do any of you guys remember the Oblivion crisis? It was a pretty big problem back in the day. Well, the apocalypse happened all over Tamriel, not only in Cyrodiil, so why aren't there any Oblivion Gates in Skyrim? With mods such as S606T lore Oblivion Gates and Oblivion Gates Remade, you can add some immersive abandoned Oblivion Gates in Skyrim. You can really see in some of them the effect that time has had on them, and that's a really nice touch when exploring uncharted areas. Moving away from location related mods, let's talk about your stinky self. Yeah, I'm talking about you. When's the last time you took a shower? With dirt and blood, your character will start accumulating blood and dirt as you play and fight. You'll be able to wash it off by going for a swim, standing in the rain, or even taking a bath. While the effects are only visual and do not really affect gameplay, it doesn't mean it's acceptable to let it go to this level. I mean, go wash yourself. You smell like someone who watches a lot of anime. And that's why I also have Rent a Bath on the list, a mod that lets you pay for the innkeepers to wash you. While they're not necessarily physical baths for you to use, unless you have mods that add baths, it's all about imagination. Also, yes, it is more expensive than renting a room because you need to use clean water, soap, and potentially some hidden services that the mod doesn't suggest. Imagine rent being 10 bucks and showering being 25. I'd be a stinky, but I'd be a stinky with a lot of Lego sets. Now that you're able to take a bath, it would only be fair for you to also be able to go to sleep. And no, I don't mean this on immersive shit, get this shit out of here! Go to Bed is a mod that allows you to lay in bed and then go to sleep, which is so much better. The mod author even said that the mod isn't for those who like sleeping standing next to the bed, because that's pretty unimmersive. I mean, what am I, a vampire? Just because I'm Romanian doesn't mean I'm also a vampire. Stereotypical bullshit. While we're on the topic, why not sleep under some blankets? In a cold land such as Skyrim's, wouldn't that make sense? But in Nariva, they are North, so they wouldn't really be cold as other races. Oh yeah, but what about Khajiit? What about my character? My character's Breton. And these blankets are massive, they must be really comfy and keep all the heat in. This mod really makes sense as it should be a must-have in your mod list. As I said before, it's not a true Nariva video without at least one J-Serpa mod. And so far, we've got 2. Now, haven't you wondered why all blacksmiths always sharpen an iron sword? I mean, bro, aren't you supposed to forge some better weapons for the Legion? With sharpened other swords, blacksmiths would work with different materials and would create weapons that make sense for their character. For example, blacksmiths in Markarth would have dwarven swords, and orcs would also make orcish swords, simply because, duh. Now let's take a look at some really cool ambient/environmental mods that would really make the game feel so realistic. You'll start believing that real life is a shitty depression simulator made by an indie developer in 2012. So let's talk about the hot springs in Skyrim. Other than the name, there's not much really to suggest that the temperature is high. You could argue, well, there's the steam, but that's so 2011. So, with Volcanic Tundra heat wave effect, you'll now be able to see the heat waves as you look directly above the hot springs, and also the steam really feels like it's more volumetric as well. It's really cool now that you can make these hot spring sessions so much more immersive. And no, I'm not telling you the uncensored version of this shot, only my editor gets to see it. Nice. On the topic of water, did you notice my adorable lily pads? They're from water plants that make the waters in Skyrim more colorful. I love adding green to Skyrim in any way. Also, dude, they're massive. And while you might argue that it's not really immersive because the climate of Skyrim would not sustain these plants, consider this a bonus mod. Moving on. After a long day's work, you decide to make camp and light up a fire, but you hear some thunder rumbling. And then it starts pouring. And because you have rain extinguishes fire that you saw in that one Riva TV video, you start hating your life forever. Okay, maybe I'm exaggerating, but this mod is really cool and it makes sense. I mean, why would fire still burn when it's raining outside? This mod affects fires in cities, and apparently it also works with fires from other mods, which means it should be compatible pretty much anything else, so that's a plus. Now, what's an immersive mods video without some immersive animations? And while last time we had huge animation mods, let's focus on some smaller interactions, but also that have a huge effect on your immersion. I would like to shout out Zxlice's ultimate potion animation that makes it so your character would bring the potion vial to their mouth whenever they drink a potion. Similarly, Animated Potion does pretty much the same thing, so I'll have both in the description. I don't think I have to sit here and explain why this is cool and immersive because you can really see for yourself. With that, I also recommend animated poisons that will make it so your character would poison their weapon. And finally, animated ingredients would have your character eat the ingredients. And all these animations make sure to use the right meshes for the potions and ingredients and such. So nothing is better than seeing your character eat that delicious, juicy giant's toe. For our last few mods, I would want to focus on some sounds that make the world of Skyrim, specifically in taverns, sound more realistic and immersive. During peak dinner hours, you'll hear some characters burp like actual pigs with burps of Skyrim. They would mention that they want to go to bed when they're tired with Goodnight Skyrim.
I'm going to sleep. Goodness knows I need it.
And once they fall asleep, they would snore with Snores of Skyrim. And most importantly, all people would randomly say "oh dear" with this mod.
Oh dear.
It's just what all people do. I showed these mods in my last Hot New Mods video, and since I really think they're amazing, I added them to my list of my favorite immersive mods. If you do want a more in-depth review of these last mods, I do recommend you check out my previous video. If you want to see some more immersive mods, I recommend watching my previous top 20 immersive mods video. I don't know if you noticed, but this video did have more than 20 mods, so you're welcome. There's also my NPC overhaul video in which I completely overhaul how NPCs look and most importantly act. You know what, just watch all my other videos, I'm sure you'll find something helpful. If you like what you saw, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to stay up to date whenever I upload. Do consider checking out my Patreon as well, as it fuels more and more content here. I mean, just look at these beautiful patrons on the screen right now. You could be here too, if you follow the link in the description. Other than that, I'm starving. I really want to go eat something, so I'm gonna go make some tofu. Of all things, I guess, I'm craving for tofu. So click on either one of these videos and leave me alone. I'm starving. It doesn't look that good, but I really don't care. It's gonna be delicious. It's hot.